what is your role as the fire marshal?
The fire marshal of a province is responsible to ensure that there is adequate fire protection services across the province, and to ensure that people are aware of things that can cause increased risk, which would create a fire situation.
What has influenced you in how you approach this fire marshal position?
Oh, probably there's two items that come to mind quickly whenever you ask me that. When I first took on this role in 1991 as Provincial Fire Marshal, I wanted to meet with each fire chief and his deputy fire chief across the province, and that is 36 fire departments. Some fire departments I met with the chief and the deputy chief. Some fire departments I met with the deputy chief, and the firefighters, and in some I even met with the whole community. I got to one fire department and quite a number of the community were there as well. After I had an opportunity to speak to the people and make them understand what I was all about and ask them what they expected from me, I was approached by a young lady who asked if she could speak to me privately. And we spoke privately, and she told me that she had been married to a firefighter, but her marriage broke down, and she had wondered why it had. Then she said, I come to the conclusion that he had gone to a fire, this was a couple of years earlier, and she said he was living with the baggage of having responded, and if someone died at that fire situation, and he could never overcome that, and he just became a different person because of it. So I left there and I thought long and hard about that. And when I came back, I decided we've got to do something about this. I asked at the time, there was nothing in place to help firefighters overcome these traumatic experiences, or help them with these traumatic experiences. So we created a critical incident stress debriefing team. I had 5 members of the Prince Edward Island Fire Service join me. We took training and we started this process. It wasn't long before the province stepped in, took this over from us, and put the right professionals in this place. And I believe to the day that that has benefited dramatically the fire service, because in those days we were having firefighters leaving the fire service rather quickly because they couldn't handle the baggage of responding to horrific car accidents or fires where there was a devastating loss. That influenced me greatly. There was one other thing that early in the game has influenced me greatly as well in the fire protection services, and it's on a personal basis. My son, who is very asthmatic and who was very young at the time, come upstairs to me and says, Dad, I can't breathe. And I said, get in the vehicle. And we live 38 kilometers from the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. I had him in the vehicle and I was ready to go. And we drove about a half mile, and he's whizzing even further, and he's saying, I don't think I'm going to make it, Dad. Well, like any other father, I was just devastated. I can't help my son. Then I realized very quickly, I'm not that far from a fire hall. I turned that truck around, and believe me, I flew from that point to the fire hall. When I got to the fire hall, there was a couple of the firefighters standing around. Right away, they recognized that there was something happening here. When I explained to them what I needed, they went inside that fire hall, rushed out with an oxygen bottle, provided my son with oxygen. My son is living today, and that's almost 20 years ago. Those two things have really influenced on what I wanted to do as the fire marshal. Certainly there are an awful lot of other things, code enforcement, advising the people about risks that are out there and how they can take away that increased risk. But those two items, more so than anything else, influence how I operate.